Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Bob Bauerlein, Deputy Undersecretary of the Air Force for International Affairs, and it is my pleasure to welcome you here today to this very important signing ceremony between the United States government and the government of Jordan. We are joined today by the Honorable Sheila Widnall, Secretary of the Air Force, Lieutenant General Fig Newton, Assistant Vice Chief of Staff, who is here representing General Ron Fogelman, Chief of Staff of the U.S. Air Force, Field Marshal Marai, Chief of Staff of the Royal Jordanian Armed Forces, Major General Ababna, who's seated at the table, Chief of Staff of the Royal Jordanian Air Force, Mr. Fred Smith, Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for International Security Affairs, who will be joining us at the table for the question and answer period, and a number of distinguished guests from Jordan and from the Joint Staff, the Air Force, the State Department, and other parts of the U.S. government. Today's ceremony marks a major milestone in meeting the U.S. commitment to provide a squadron of F-16 aircraft to Jordan, with deliveries to begin in December of 1997. And it also marks a major milestone in the development of the personal and professional relationships between our two great countries and our two great air forces. General Ababna and I will be signing 3 documents today, 2 leases and a letter of offer and acceptance, or an LOA, the contents of which are described in the handouts that have been provided to you, or that will be provided to you. I noticed that look there. The sequence of events will start with Secretary Widnall and Field Marshal Marai, who will deliver remarks. General Ababna and I will then sign the appropriate documents, and then General Ababna, Mr. Smith, and I will take your questions. So it is now a great honor and pleasure for me to turn the podium over to the Secretary of the Air Force, the Honorable Sheila Widnall.
Thank you, Bob. I'm delighted to participate today in this important milestone, in this very important program. Many people have worked hard to bring us to this point, and much hard work remains before us as we bring this program online. But this ceremony marks a huge step forward. There is a tendency to view arrangements such as the one we are completing today in strictly military terms as hardware and combat capability. Certainly, a squadron of F-16s will provide a formidable upgrade to Jordan's defenses. That's particularly true as the package we are about to sign includes not just the aircraft on the ramp, but all the invisible yet indispensable elements that create effective combat capability, spares, training, technical support. But in a larger sense, this ceremony is much more important as evidence of the close relationship we have built with Jordan, a relationship which this program will strengthen through the years ahead. Clearly, that relationship takes on special significance in view of the volatility of Jordan's neighborhood. For decades, for centuries, war has destroyed the hopes of people of the Mideast. We now see movement beyond that terrible legacy, and nowhere is that movement more evident than in Jordan, a nation that has long been an integral part of the Mideast peace process. The United States stands with those who make sacrifice for peace, who resist the current of history, who seek to change the traditional vector of the region. Today's ceremony bears witness to our willingness to support those nations and to stand by our commitments. Of course, for the Air Force, the relationship between our nations bears special meaning, with many of our people having so recently returned from their deployment to Jordan as part of an air expeditionary force. Over 1,000 Air Force men and women served there, side by side, with their counterparts of the Royal Jordanian Air Force, partners in that effort to stabilize the region. That deployment brought home again the mutual benefits to Jordan and to the United States of the ties between our nations. And so, as we pass this milestone for the F-16 program, let us not lose sight of the longer road that we in Jordan are traveling together toward a stable and peaceful Mideast. And now it's time to take the next step on this journey. So I will turn the platform over to Field Marshal Marai.
Thank you very much. Dr. Sheila Widnall, Secretary of the Air Force, ladies and gentlemen, we are delighted to be here once again among good friends and associates for what is both substantively and symbolically important event. Jordan is proud of the relationship between our two countries, and as such continues to work towards further enhancing and solidifying these ties. As you will recognize at this junction in the peace process, it is imperative that Jordan's peace treaty with Israel be supported by all those who wish to see a comprehensive settlement to the conflict. In practical terms, the peace treaty with Israel reasserts Jordan's traditional role as a key player in the resolution of the conflict. On a broader level, when it was signed, the treaty prevented the collapse of the entire peace process. Indeed, the Jordan-Israel peace treaty has become a vital foundation and an example for future regional peace, especially when conditions on the other tracks can be discouraging to the adherents to the peace camp. Our immediate goal is to provide a political model for the rest of the region. Jordan supports every regional security arrangement aimed at achieving equal security for all at the lowest level of armament and military forces. Finally, we view our role in maintaining stability and security in the region as having particular strategic importance to our immediate area and beyond. Therefore, our interest is to strengthen our cooperation with the United States military to achieve common ends. And today, the signing of this agreement is one more highly significant step towards those ends. Ours is an increasingly vulnerable world. If we work in isolation, that vulnerability is multiplied immeasurably. If we share in working for our common principles, we at least have a chance. Ladies and gentlemen, United States of America concern and support to Jordan are always appreciated. Thank you very much.
you very much indeed. Thank you.
Yeah, if we can get a chair for Fred.
As soon as we get the other chair up here, ladies and gentlemen, we'll open the floor for your questions and answers. All right, the floor is open for questions.
What is the total cost to the United States for this lease? As I understand, it's a no-cost lease for Jordan. What is the total cost to the United States, and how is this going to be paid for?
There are three elements to this, the three documents that we signed. There is a no-cost lease for 13 of the aircraft, 12 A models, single-seat models, and 1 B model. Under the Arms Export Control Act, we are able to provide those aircraft at a no-cost lease because they have flown off over 75% of their life. 3 of the B model aircraft still have more than 25% of their life left, so that is a lease that is approximately $4.5 million for those 3 aircraft. The LOA is for $215 million that will cover the costs associated with upgrading those aircraft, doing the structural modifications to them, the engine upgrades, providing the support equipment, the logistics, the training, everything that is necessary to make that equipment capable of performing its mission when it arrives in Jordan and sustain it through the period of the lease. So it's a total cost is about $220 million, which would be provided through U.S. government assistance, and the government of Jordan will be paying for the construction requirements for the program out of its own national funds.
The Israelis have a role in maintaining these jets. Could you explain that?
No, there's no Israeli role in this program at this time. And whether the government of Israel and the government of Jordan decide to cooperate in the future is up to those 2 countries.
Wasn't that part of the original scheme, though?
There were some discussions early on as to whether there would be something that the government of Israel could do to show its support for this program, and that still may come at some point, but that's not a part of the program today.
Why a lease? Why not a sale?
We are able to provide the aircraft under the lease, as I indicated earlier, at no cost for 13 of the aircraft to the government of Jordan. It's a more economical way for the United States to provide this equipment to the government of Jordan.
It seemed to me it'd be more economical if you could sell them instead of lease them.
Ultimately, if we could find a way for the government of Jordan to take title to the aircraft, I think is what you're saying, then the aircraft would be theirs. But in order to find the quickest, lowest cost way to provide the aircraft, the lease option was the best that we could provide and get the funding necessary to do all the upgrades and sustainment over time.
What's the military reason for having them use this type of aircraft? What do they need it for?
These aircraft will be designed to maximize air defense capabilities for the Jordanian Air Force, and I would like to have General Babna expand on that if he would.
Yes, sir. You know, the F-16 aircraft mainly will be the main role of these aircraft will be the air defense role. Jordan is known for its modernization. Our defense policy is defensive in nature. And strong and secure and stable Jordan, I think, will contribute to the stability and security of the whole region.
Did any other European manufacturers also try to get this deal?
Well, everybody is trying, but at this time, like Mr. Bauerlein said, the Falcon up and the engine modification will be done solely by the American companies. Midlife update in the future might be decided later on between the government Jordan and according to our interest, and a decision will be made at that time based on the future needs of the Jordanian Air Force.
Could you explain why Jordan needs these aircraft at this time?
Yes, sir. Jordan possesses two types of aircraft, the French Mirage F-1, both types F-1C and F-1E, and also the American aircraft F-5E. These aircraft have been in the Jordanian Air Force for the last 20 years or so. We need to modernize and upgrade our capability. These aircraft will be used solely for the air defense role, although they have the air-ground capability. And like I said, we have a wise leadership. Jordan knows we never attacked anybody before, but we would like to be strong and be able to defend our borders and our airspace. And the strong and secure Jordan definitely, especially at this time with the peace process after the signing peace treaty between Israel and Jordan, will contribute to the peace in the whole region, in the whole Middle East.
Yeah, 12A models doesn't strike me as an enormous strike package. Is there a plan to increase that?
Well, in the future, definitely, we would like, this effort has been tried by His Majesty the Supreme Commander of the Jordan Armed Forces for the last 10 years or so, and finally it was achieved, and I am extremely delighted to say that today it is a happy day for the Royal Jordanian Air Force, for the Jordan Armed Forces, and for Jordan.
As you see your requirements, how many F-16s would you need to meet that?
Our requirement is approximately 3 squadrons around, in fact, 50 to 70 F-16s in the future.
There's any provision to cover the loss of any potential loss of those airplanes? Is there any provision to replace it, and what type of aircraft will be replaced?
It's the liability is included in the lease. If an aircraft were lost, we would have to go back and work out the arrangements to generate another aircraft to replace it.
The length of the lease?
5 years.
What's the armaments complement you have or you might be getting with this lease?
Well, certainly the aircraft is equipped and have the provisions to carry infrared missiles, BVR missiles, and we are looking in the future with the close ties between our armed forces and the United States Armed Forces to get even a new weapons in there, since these weapon systems are already in existence in the area and were released to some other countries. Why not Jordan?
Do you fly AMRAAM right now or not?
No, not yet. But we are looking forward to get the AMRAAM in the near future.
What does 75% of their useful life constitute?
These aircraft, when they were originally built, were built for 4,000 hours of flying time. So these aircraft have flown over 3,000 hours of their life off at this point.
What is the significance of today's signing and the overall U.S. military strategy in the Middle East and in particular the Gulf region?
Right.
Well, I would say in addition to providing support to a good friend, also providing support to a country that is very supportive of the Middle East peace process. As the General said, that they are a country of moderation, and that a secure and confident Jordan is in our best interest and in the regional best interest.
The Secretary talked about the volatility of Jordan's neighbors. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I think that I think the region speaks for itself in terms of types of violence that occur out there and the uncertainty of the situation. And Jordan certainly is a as a sovereign country, has every right to defend itself and protect its air sovereignty, and this is these aircraft are helping to modernize their Air Force, as the General explained. I mean, they have F-1s and F-5s, and 16 F-16s upgrades their capability.
Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Barline, can you break down that financial package? How much goes to Pratt Whitney? How much goes to Lockheed? How much goes to, how do you break it down?
I don't have a breakdown of that. We can try to get back to you on rough figures on that. I'm sorry?
That's out of the 215.
Yes.
When you measure the combat capability of your Air Force, how do you measure it according to which Air Force states around you?
Well, to be honest, at this time, country is a small, Jordan is a small country. Our Air Force is modest in its capability, but we would like to emphasize quality rather than quantity. We cannot compete with any country of our, the surrounding countries around us. But definitely, we are a professional armed forces. We are a professional Air Force. We conduct joint exercises with our friends, the Americans, with some other friendly countries like the Brits, the French, and we cannot afford not to be except a professional. But quantity-wise, we cannot compete with anybody, but quality-wise, hopefully we are competing, and we think that we can stand a threat based on our will and our quality of training.
Yes, this is supposed to be part of a U.S. commitment to help those who are part of the peace process in the Arab world. Could you tell us of any other Arab countries with whom you might have similar plans or similar agreements on the way?
Well, right now there are no plans for similar kind of arrangements. Of course, we work with many countries in the region, including Egypt and Israel and others, but there's no, right now there are no future arrangements such as this known.
Let me just add to that, that our support for various countries through the region are tailored to their individual countries' requirements and needs. This is something that we could do that was very tangible to show support for the government of Jordan.
Yeah, Secretary Perry has really touted the fact that there was going to be a deal struck for Israel to work on these planes. Why hasn't this deal been struck? This was made as a pretty big deal when the announcement first came out.
Well, we're still at the early stages of this process. What we're trying to do today is to get the paperwork in line so that the people in our program office can begin to spend the money necessary to modify the airplanes and do the training and order the equipment so that we can get the airplanes in country so that they'll have an operational capability to meet the commitments that Secretary Perry made. The question of the ongoing support of that equipment is something that is still being discussed and will be discussed over time. There could be a relationship there in the future. But right now, our objective is to get the process going so that we can get those airplanes in country and they'll have an operational capability.
President, there's no problems with it. The Israelis are not backing down on it.
No, absolutely.
No, I would add that the Israeli government has been very supportive of this program, and Prime Minister Netanyahu just very recently reconfirmed that support. So we're not saying that's not going to happen, but that's between the government of Jordan and the government of Israel to work out.
All right, we have time for one more question. Robert.
Sir, I want to get back to the F-16s briefly. You mentioned midlife upgrade, AMRAAM, additional F-16s are all things you're looking at. Characterize what your top priority is on those, and also if you can just say if you're at all interested in future buys and getting CD models rather than the AB versions.
Yes, certainly. In the future, we would like to get the most modern weapon systems which we can get, and I would like to remind you at this time that in the future these some of these F-5s and some of the Mirage F-1C have to be phased out, and certainly we require more modern aircraft with more modern weapon systems and more capable weapon systems to replace these type of aircraft. the size of the Royal Jordanian Air Force probably will remain the same, but the quality and the capabilities will improve.
And priority issue, midlife upgrade, AMRAAM, or more F-16s?
Well, certainly you cannot really give top priority right now, but midlife update has to be carried out on the aircraft in the coming 2-3 years, and by that time, hopefully, or before even, we will be able to get the AMRAAMs.
One step at a time.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith, thank you very much.